Esta conferencia comenzará a grabarse.
So again, welcome everybody. Today we have a very special and very interesting session. We are going to speak about the new, very recently published guidance for the recovery and resilience plans. Okay, and to speak about that, we will have with us Ulla Engelmann from DG Grow. You know, it's head of unit of social economy, including clusters and other areas. So I don't know if Ulla, yes, welcome Ulla. I see that Ulla must be connecting now.
I'm here.
Hello, Ulla. Welcome.
Good morning.
We can see you. Good morning. So thank you very much. I know that you have been working in order to prepare this presentation out of time. Okay, thank you. And the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, because last week there was a publication of, let's say, a very important package of information which we thought it would be very useful to share with you. And therefore, we have now this presentation which describes of the features of this presentation, but I think it's very worth also to have a look at some of the documents more in depth. So if we go to the next slide, because the basis of the recovery is what has been proposed on the 21st of July, meaning the budget for the European recovery, which consists on one hand of the multi-annual financial frameworks, the MFF, the 7-year budget, but also on the Next Generation EU. And this Next Generation EU are this 750 billion. If we go to the next slide, so this 750 billion is this special budget which we are looking at, but with a reinforced EU budget, the Commission has proposed several responses, and like the investment as a policy response in order to repair immediate social and economic damage by the pandemic, kickstart recovery, but also while recovering, preparing for a better future. This was also very much in the discussion in the State of the Union of President von der Leyen, where she was highlighting we have to use this occasion to transform now and to prepare, meaning using the recovery to prepare for the better future. And that's why she pointed out we have the European Green Deal, we need to look at the digital transition, but we also need to foster our resilience. And this together then brings us to this instrument on the Next Generation EU. In the next slide, please. We are then looking at what has been done already, because certain economic responses needed to be done pretty quickly. So first of all, ensuring the functioning of the single market, meaning that we needed to keep the goods and the medical equipment reaching the right places. Also helping decisive action by member state, like for a lot of state aid were revised, temporarily revised, and adapted to the situation now. As I say, it's a temporary framework. Then the general escape clause was activated, and the EU structural funds were for the first time open to full flexibility. And then the pandemic emergency purchase program from the ECB. But also there were created 3 EU safety nets, helping the workers to keep their job, which is the SURE program for short-term unemployment help, to provide liquidity to SMEs through the European investment banks, and loans to sovereigns through the European Stability Mechanism. These are all things you have seen by now. So let's go to the next one. Next slide, please. But now what was published last week is, and you will hear this abbreviation quite a lot now in Commission speak, RRF, meaning Recovery and Resilience Facility. So this is now the key tool in order to help to look to the immediate challenges, but turn them into a long-term opportunity. So this Recovery and Resilience Facility is a key instrument of the Next Generation EU. So again, keep in mind, Next Generation EU is a 750 billion program. What does this Recovery and Resilience Facility do? It provides guidance to help member states to prepare and present their recovery and resilience plans in a coherent way. If you remember, last week we had the French example where they presented their recovery plan. So now, and that's also the discussions we are having in this month here, it is important to have now the member states preparing their national recovery plans. And the idea, of course, is for the clusters to see how can clusters be part of this national recovery plans. But what the Commission does with this Recovery and Resilience Facility, we are trying to help, we are trying to show to the member states what are possibilities, what are areas to use in order to have national recovery and resilience plans. And you need to anchor this related to what you can measure, related to what you have already. And that's why this guidance was presented in the framework of the Commission's 2021 Annual Sustainability Growth Strategy, which is linked to this year's European semester cycle. A European semester cycle is something which exists since some years, where together with member states, we are looking at different indicators in different areas, be it employment, economic development, and this then the Commission formulates semester recommendation for each of the member states. So now this process is being turned into something with, let's say, a huge financial substance behind it, because basing of this country-specific recommendations together with the national recovery plans, this is then the way the money will be released from this recovery and resilience facilities. And there's a guidance list, and also because the guidance documents consist of several papers, there's a guidance list what member states must do to profit from this recovery and resilience facility. We are talking about a huge amount of money, and it needs to be also made sure that the way the money is spent is being used, as we said, to transform, to reform, to prepare for the better future. So in the next slide, and this recovery and resilience facility has a volume of 672.5 billion. This is proposed by the Commission and still needs to be accepted by the Council, the European Parliament. And the basis, the principles, the guiding principles for this national recovery and resilience plans you see here in this chart are, of course, in the middle is a competitive sustainability, but it has to be based on the environment, looking at what we do with the environment, and therefore the Green Deal, the productivity, the macroeconomic stability, and fairness. So these are these very important guiding principles. If we go to the next slide. Just again here, so when the member states send their national plans, they have to check before the Commission gets it, that 4 boxes have been ticked: environmental sustainability, productivity, fairness, and the macroeconomic stability as the foundations for green, digital, and sustainable recovery. On the timeline, the member states from 15th of October onwards can send their draft national recovery plans to the Commission to have a discussion. And within the Commission, special structures have been set up to be able to discuss with the member states these plans. This is on one hand our colleagues in a new part of the Secretary General, which is called SG Recover, but also we have experience because we have this DG Reform, which has also looked already before at certain member states for reform plans. So this combined knowledge with, of course, the knowledge of the colleagues from the different parts, because for, as I mentioned before, that we look at this European semester, the different colleagues from the different DGs were always delivering their country knowledge and assessment to the central part of DG ECFIN, which manages the European semester, because the European semester builds on really the knowledge from different countries, from different country desks in the different DGs. So all this knowledge together will be used to discuss with the member states their national recovery plans. Assuming that all goes well on the approval of this budget, then from the 1st of January onwards, this would be available. And then the member states can officially submit until the 30th of April their national recovery plans. So in the time from the 15th of October, these are the drafts, there are discussions, and then there will be until the 30th of April, but the money will be front-loaded, and that means that the member states can also claim money for retroactive. So, and another, I think, very important message in these documents is when the member states draw up their national recovery plans, they should do this in a dialogue. In a dialogue, for example, also with civil society organizations, in the dialogue with the different sectors. So I think this is something important, an opportunity to grasp, also by clusters, to engage in this discussion, to bring your knowledge and to help the member states to base their knowledge for the recovery also on the knowledge you will be bringing. And throughout these documents, there is very often mentioned the word SMEs. So there is a focus on helping SMEs, and there I think also the clusters can play a very important role, because you have the SMEs as part of your clusters, you can reach out to them. So this is another argument. And now we go to the next slide. Just again here to say that what I've mentioned before, the enhanced role of the European semester in response to the crisis. And this is maybe also a document for you to look at. As I said before, there are country-specific recommendations, and then maybe it could be interesting for the clusters to look at their country-specific recommendations, and maybe that gives also some idea where some priorities should be going to. So it is again building on this focus of the European semester, where the policy response will come via this national recovery plans. If we go to the next slide. And also here, just repeating the 4 principles which are at the heart of the EU social market economy: building an economy that works for people and the planet, helping to reach the SDGs, and being on track for climate neutrality in 2050. If we now go to the next slide, and this is one of the most important slides of this presentation, because the Recovery and Resilience Facility is based on 7 flagships. Because there was a discussion on how can we help, how can we also as a Commission give ideas how to help the green and the digital transition. And therefore, there are these 7 flagship areas. And these 7 flagship areas, which are here, are very much described in these papers. So just maybe to give you some ideas, because here it is very shortly presented on these slides, but just to let you know, I give you a bit of, to each of the bullets, some points which could be part of it. If we look at power up means future-proof clean technologies should be front-loaded, and the development and use of renewables should be accelerated, as well as their integration through modernized networks and enhanced interconnectivity. So, for example, hydrogen lead markets in Europe. And the President, during the speech of the Union, has also mentioned hydrogen valleys and European hydrogen valleys. So there is an aim to support the building and sector integration of almost 40% of the 500 gigawatt of renewable power generation needed by 2030. There is the idea of supporting the installment of 6 gigawatt of electrolyzer capacity and the production and transportation of 1 million tons of renewable hydrogen across the EU by 2025. So there are very concrete targets behind these flagships. Renovate is another very important flagship. And also here I would want to make you aware that the Commission will publish the renovation wave in mid-October, where it will describe in much more detail how renovation could look like. So renovating means improving the energy and resource efficiency of public and private buildings, because this will contribute to achieve EU's climate objective, and it creates a large number of local jobs throughout the member states, but also fostering digital development through smart living and metering. By 2025, it will contribute to the doubling of the renovation rate and fostering of deep renovation. The third one, recharge and refuel. Here it is about promoting future-proof clean technologies to accelerate the use of sustainable, accessible and smart transport. Charging and refueling stations and extension of public transport will make European cities and regions cleaner, accelerate the industrial transition, and contribute to reaching the Paris climate objectives. By 2025, the flagship will aim to build 1 out of 3 million charging points needed in 2030 and half of the 1,000 hydrogen stations needed. The fourth one, connect, there it is very much about that we need a rapid rollout of the broadband services. Today, only 44% of the households have access to very high capacity networks. Therefore, this fast rollout to all regions and households, including fiber and 5G networks, as well as developing quantum encryption communication, will be essential to ensure the widest possible territorial coverage in areas not served by the market, while at the same time preserving the open strategic autonomy of the EU. Modernize, the fifth one. There it is about an EU ID and key digital public services that should be modernized and accessible to all. Secure and EU-wide electronic identification and authentication vis-à-vis governments and private actors, access to their services will provide citizens with control over their own online identity and data, as well as enable access to online services. On scale up, the EU digital transition depends on increasing the European industrial data cloud capacities and on the ability to develop the most powerful, cutting-edge, sustainable processors. By 2025, the flagship will aim to double the production of semiconductors in Europe to produce 10 times more energy-efficient processors. This will allow, for instance, the rapid take-up of connected cars and to double the share of EU companies using advanced cloud services and big data, because today only 16% are using it. And the last one, very important one, reskill and upskill. Because we have seen before that there is an element like SURE to helping with short-term unemployment. But the problem is we know and we expect many layoffs coming in the future months. So there need to be ways to help people who get laid off to invest in re- and upskilling, because this is also central to support the green and digital transitions and to help to enhance our innovation and growth potential. But at the same time, we need to foster our social resilience and help quality employment and social inclusion. And this investment and reform should focus on digital skills and educational vocational training for all ages. In 2019, still 42% of Europeans do not have at least basic digital skills. By 2025, the share of Europeans aged from 16 to 74 with basic digital skills should increase to reach 70%. And the education systems need to be adapted to the 21st century. But also this brings us to what we have talked about here. It's also the Pact for Skills, because in the European Skills Agenda, which was published on the 1st of July, there is also the mentioning of flagship of Pact for Skills for re- and upskilling. And this Pact for Skills is looking for partnerships. And in the text, there's also written that these partnerships for re- and upskilling are also eligible for this RRF facility. So, and also there we have discussed the role of the clusters. So I think you see in this 7 flagship, I'm pretty sure many clusters can find their way in it and can help in the discussions to member states and or the regional discussions to point out in which of the areas, in which of the flagship your cluster is contributing. That's why I thought it was an important moment, despite the fact that this has only been published last week. And I admit I also needed to read through them, and these documents are not always so easy, but there are some fact sheets which go together, so you might not need to read everything. But I think what would be important, that you have a more in-depth look in these 7 flagships, and then you choose the one which is closest for your cluster and that can help you to put your arguments, because it is important. Use the moment now, have the discussions with the national authority and help them to frame a good national recovery plan for the different member states. So I stop here. I cannot promise that I know everything about this package and I'll be able to answer all the questions. I will do my best, and I have also some colleagues with me who hopefully know even more than me. Thank you very much.
You are very welcome, Ulla, for all your efforts. And as I said, you have been working very quickly on making this summary. I am sharing in the screen, as you say, Ulla, I am sharing the website, okay, the main website, and the different documents. I have been trying to read them also this weekend, but there are some of them that are very good, for example, with clear examples on how to develop the ideas, and I think it's really makes sense to read them at least carefully. And I have also shared the link to the specific country recommendations. Okay, so thank you, and I think it's time to open the mic for question or comments from our colleagues. Okay, we will publish this video, the Ulla's presentation, and the link to the main area on the ECCP page where we are publishing all the different sessions. Thank you. Comment, questions?
I have a question. I'm Jorge González, the cluster manager from TPOMED in Spain. Ulla, thank you very much. This is really amazing what the European Commission is going to do in the next future. No doubt that we are interested, but I would like to talk about two bottlenecks that we have found in our region to see if we can get some kind of extra help in order to push that in the same direction. One problem that we have found is that the regional development agency in our regional list, they are not very supportive of clusters, and they don't pay. For example, we have not been invited to the smart specialization strategy for the next period, just to give you an example of how less they care about cluster roles. And the second thing is that we are very close related to the healthcare system because we are a digital health initiative. And what happens with healthcare in particular is that they are so focused on the day-to-day that when we try to make them think about what is coming and the future opportunities and the money and everything, they basically, they don't come back because they are so focused on the day-to-day, which at the end, it will mean that they will do it in a rush without a good strategy and probably leaving money without being attended. Is there anything that we could have, if you think that these two things are relevant, where we could get some kind of excuses, leverages, whatever we want to call it, so cluster can have a more influential role in determining how to best use this funding that is about to come?
Yeah, this is a very good point, and this is also something we are discussing here within our team in order to see how can we help in the discussion between the regions and the clusters, because there is a very different attitude depending on the regions. There are some regions, I would call them the cluster champions, in their smart specialization strategy, in their economic planning, clusters play an important role. And what we are trying to do and thinking about is to help to create a knowledge exchange between, for example, regions which are at the forefront, which know how to do it, and also regions who do it. I think they can show that they are economically advanced when they use clusters. So we are thinking of, is there a way how we can help these other regions which might have not recognized the potential of the clusters, also, as you say, because often they are so much taken in their day-to-day work that they have difficulties to project, so they just handle the day-to-day, and the projections and the using of the structures which are in the region is not done. So one of the ideas we are looking into, how can we help to promote the use of cluster in this region, and that we give more regional focus in maybe setting up, helping to set up that these clusters are able to talk to their region. So, but this is something we are just now discussing between ourselves as something we would want to kick off pretty quickly. We need to see how feasible it is, but also we were thinking what would be very helpful, because sometimes it's easier if peers speak to peers. So if one region authorities who does it well speak to another regional authorities and help them to convince, because they speak the same language, because clusters and regions might not speak the same language, but hopefully different regions speak more or less the same same language, because they have to do the same administrative processes to get to the money. But I don't know, maybe also my colleague Marek, who comes from regional policy, would come in on this.
Yeah, if I may, this what Ula just presented. It's definitely the recovery and resilience facility, which is to be developed and by member states. Yeah? So you have the member state and not region responsible for this. And I put the quote from the communication, which is exactly recommending the member states to go into the broad dialogue with with partners. But it's the same. You mentioned the smart specialization. But it's not only a recommendation from the Commission as far as smart specialization is concerned, because at this very moment it is as well in 2021-27 as an enabling condition by the member state, by regions. If they want to have money spent on the smart growth, there is the enabling condition on the governance, and there is a regulatory requirement that they need to involve the partners at their territory to develop the strategies and then implement them. So I'm quite struck with what you are saying, that you were not invited. It means that it doesn't work. Smart specialization in your region is not working, and then definitely you should point it out to relevant authorities that they will not fulfill the eligibility criteria for getting money from the European Regional Development Fund in the future perspective. But this brings me to another point, which is about the consistency of the measures and coherence between measures. What Ula mentioned here is exactly the priorities from top down of the European Commission. What we suggest, and this must be in coherence, of course, with what is being developed at regional level, but as well with just transition mechanism and just transition plans. So it's all quite complex at the very moment, but all of them are definitely all these measures that we propose require the consultation and very active dialogue with stakeholders, and here in particular, in our case, clusters. So clusters has all the support from the Commission to reach the member states, to reach the Ministry of Economy, of Finance.
Marek, one thing, Marek.
Yeah, tell me.
The thing is how to perhaps improve that support. We know we have your support, but what Ula and you have mentioned, I think they are good measures, but in my opinion, not enough. In order not to monopolize the debate, I have a proposal. What about if to create a kind of task force between the European Commission and the European Cluster Alliance, so that we can exchange ideas, proposals, and then of course you guys decide at the European Commission. But I think it's good to combine, as you were saying, the top-down that is coming from you with the bottom-up that is coming from us, because I can tell you, in my region, they already know clusters for 10 years. We were firstly funded by them, but the management has changed, and it's like they don't want to listen to us. And if we come to them saying, yeah, but you have to, they will think that there is something behind that we want to make that. And it is not that. We just really want to help. So my suggestion, because this is not the topic of this conversation, is it a good idea to create a kind of task force between you and the Cluster Alliance so we can debate this issue in more detail?
Yeah, I think we take the note and we'll see. With what I would definitely. I mean, one is here. You have recommendation, but in the European Regional Development Fund, you have regulatory obligations. So let's see. How we will operationalize it with ECA maybe, but we will further discuss it with Ula and ECA probably. Yeah.
Ula, we are not hearing you. Sorry, Ula. You are.
Yeah, I muted. Thanks. No, this is anyway exactly what we are right now discussing. So thanks for this idea, and we will get back to it. But it's good that we also hear from you that what we are discussing is relevant.
Thank you, Jorge, for your suggestion. I want to share with you this public consultation that is open now. Okay, we have spoken about it before. There is one questionnaire, okay, where we should participate. All the clusters at the European level should participate and formally suggest to involve clusters on this interregional innovation investment tool and other tools. Okay, so I for sure we are totally open to participate in the task force that you are mentioning. Okay, but don't forget to use the formal ways. It's very important to be there. Thank you. Thank you. More questions, more comments.
Yes, Antonio, can I make a brief question to Ula? Ula, thank you very much for your excellent presentation, as it is usual. One of the aspects that I think it will be very important, and I shared in the chat a very good article from Google, is the question of the monitorization and the evaluation, especially the possibility of sharing good practice and helping other institutions to learn about them. It's supposed to have something new in this kind of monetizations best practice or not for this funding?
On the examples how to evaluate and how to have indicators, what Antonio has put up in this document, because I just gave a very rough overview. But in these documents, there are, let's say, indicators, example indicators for specific areas. I mean, particularly for the 7 flagship, they took examples and they put here some of the indicators which and the objectives that can underpin a component in a national recovery plan. And this is ongoing work also. We are all working very hard on coming up with even more. So this is, as it says, examples, but as we go, this is evolving. And of course, it also takes everything into consideration, which is part of this semester-specific recommendation, because in there, you also have quite a lot of indicators. And in the past, maybe they were not so much taken up by the member states or not even so much looked at. So there is a lot behind it, but the work is also still ongoing. And there's also, what I haven't mentioned, there's also a chapter in the guidance, which is about cross-border and that different countries are encouraged to work together. There is also a chapter on this, and there are also arguments and indicators why this could be useful. And for example, to be very concrete, what I mentioned towards the end on the re- and upskilling with this Pact for Skills and the partnerships, this is part of this cross-country proposals. But there are more. So there's a whole list of ideas which can be part of this cross-country or European projects.
Thank you. Thank you, Ula and Jaime. More questions, comments? Ula, do you know in which countries the national authorities are delegating some of the recovery plans to the regions? It would be good to know that. For example, in Spain, I know that it's happening. No.
I must say about this, I have no knowledge. No.
Yeah, we need to work on that. We European Guest need to ask our. It will be good to have that information because we are working at different levels and we need to mix them. Yeah.
it is also interesting to see which other member states who have already done draft plans. So that's why it was very good that last week we had the French plan, and it was also good to hear that the colleague from the French Finance Ministry pointed out that they are in contact with the French clusters, that they got ideas from the French cluster. So I think this is a good example to follow. I think I've heard that the Italian plan is ready, but I haven't seen it yet. It's the only plan I've seen was a French plan. I don't know whether others are ready. So maybe people know better in their countries, because I'm sure they will now. Some will come out already in order to get the ideas for the stakeholders. So that's then also the moment to engage in this kind of discussion, which is very important. But I think it would also be interesting to know if you look at the different flagships, clusters in the areas. For example, one very concrete one was on the kind of processors needed. So clusters working in these fields, I think this also makes very much your case then when you're in these areas to have a discussion with your regional authorities to say, we can deliver on this, because I think that can then also help the region. I mean, this is just one example, but also in renovation construction clusters also. I think that's why for your area, it would be very good to look in what is written under the 7 flagship for your part. That helps you with the arguments.
This Saturday, when we were speaking about the future sessions, we were thinking about the possibility to organize a specific sessions for every flagship. And not only session, but also, as you say, registering references on every flagship. I think it will make sense.
Yes, and Antonia, if I may, actually, when you look at all of this must be filled in with concrete projects. So you must have concrete people, and without going into details, it all is vague. So I think if you don't go into the, because it should inspire the projects as well. There's financing, there's the objective, there's financing, but then the financing will be in the blue sky if you don't fill it with concrete companies, with concrete regions, with concrete projects, and then prepare the consortia. So without knowing and getting into details in this, it's all very vague, and I agree it will remain on the paper. So indeed, someone who is going to be responsible for this will need to dig in and have a knowledge as well on hydrogen technologies, and have a knowledge on energy efficiency in buildings. Otherwise, you just talk only about this. Thank you.
You're very welcome, Marek.
And I think there's a very good comment in the chat about sharing when clusters are involved in the ways they manage to be part of the recovery plan and how it is implemented in their region, because this could inspire, particularly if some clusters who manage to be in discussion with their authorities, if they could share with the others the arguments they are using, then they could maybe use it also in other regions.
Okay.
Very useful.
Sorry, Ula, we are having problems with your sound. I don't know if we have. Okay.
Yeah, it might be my line, so I'm just switching it off.
Okay, thank you. Patrick, would you like to comment? I see in the chat your comment.
Yes, good morning. Good morning, Antonio. Thank you, Ula, for the presentation. Yes, Yes, I think the point mentioned earlier was regarding a task force or let's say a tool for sharing information from from cluster at and the ways the plans at European scale, at national scope, and clearly at regional scale, where will be implemented the current tools. Such sharing of information, I think, would be very, very helpful for all the community, and maybe we can bring feedbacks to the Commission.
So what we are proposing is to have a common space to share information and to share references and so on. We can work on that.
We are lucky on French side, as mentioned last week, to have a close connection with the central government and each region, or have their own let's say recovery plan. And now we are entering how to put it in practice, and this is the most critical step.
You are lucky, as you say. And do you think that the European Commission, at the time of evaluating the recovery plans, could take in account the links between proposals in different regions or nations or member states?
I think if it is presented as a cross-border project, yes, but I'm not sure that they will do, let's say, comparison between the different proposals. This process, I think, is in the making. But I think there's a difference whether you have a cross-border project, and then, of course, it will be looked at how it is foreseen to be implemented in the different regions. But whether they do a cross comparison, I'm not aware of this. I can double check with my European semester colleagues, but I haven't heard about it.
I was thinking about the possibility to try to organize projects that could take could be developed in different countries as a kind of collaborative project, if you want, okay, between different countries. But
this is one of the opportunities. It's part of the guidance documents. This is possible. So, but of course, it needs to be the member states wanting to come together.
Yeah, but we have one special opportunity to propose that kind of projects, I imagine, with countries or with clusters that are working now in current in NOSUP or other real projects. We could try to propose next steps or next application of those projects. So,
yeah, but the member states need then to agree to put it as part of their recovery plans. But as you said, if you base yourself on a successful project like an INNOSUP, and you can, with this cluster partnership, show the effect it has, because don't forget, these are the flagships, but the flagships serve the digital and green transition. And if you have, for example, INNOSUPs proving, or other cluster partnerships proving that with the way you are doing this helps the green or digital transition, I think that then it can be very useful.
Okay, more comments, more questions, more ideas. Victor, I see you are commenting on the chat.
No, just good morning to all. Just supporting the idea. I think it's been a very interesting discussion, and we have been involved with our, particularly the region we are at here in Central Region, either in RIS3, also now discussing about the recovery plan, the contributions to the recovery plan in Portugal. So we look at these flagships, particularly because, as Ula mentioned, we come also from the construction value chain. We are at the Habitat cluster in Portugal. I think programs like flagships like Renovate or Modernize, which we have been also through our digital hub experience or participation in the build-up of a digital hub at the Central region. We are interested in several of these flagships, but for instance, Renovate is quite important in terms of economic recovery. Our members have stated it, and I'm talking about SMEs that look at it as a hope flagship in order to increase this economic recovery, because renovation of our cities is something that can have a great impact in terms of the economic and competitiveness of our SMEs, small companies that live upon this small value chain that renovation awakes. So it's quite important for us, and for, when I say for us, for our cluster members to have the opportunity of looking at these opportunities that the European Commission are instigating and mobilizing. So for us, of course, it's important to participate. I saw the comments from Patrick Lermos and also Hervé Floch. It's very important for participate and learn with other experience in other European regions. We have been very involved with the not only at regional but national level with our regions in Portugal, and so this discussion is certainly something that interests us, and we are more than available to participate and in our small scale to be able to make our small contribution to this overall European program. Thank you.
Obrigado, Victor. So, more questions, more comments. I see that we have a colleague, at least one from Italy. Will you comment what is the situation there in Italy? Ilaria? Hello, Ilaria.
Hi, hello, Antonio. Hello, everyone. Yes, I'm with the telephone. I don't know if you hear me well.
Perfectly.
But yes, the situation in Italy, it's not so clear at all in this topic. So I'm not able to say anything. I'm sorry, because now what we see by the development ministry, that they are collecting all the a very wide list of, we can call them projects, but are not projects. So it's not a clear situation in this topic.
Thank you. Thank you, Ilaria. Thank you. Here in Spain, there were news, not officially confirmed, that the Spanish government are going to contact the 4 big companies, you know, PricewaterhouseCoopers and so on, just to request them for ideas. I don't know how that will work or not. Okay, so we need to work on it also. Okay, any other comment, question? I'm thinking about how to better put in place that possible tool for sharing information, No, because it will make sense to be able to share links, share the last documentation, references on what is working, what kind of clear. For example, we were speaking out how clusters are involved in the French recovery plan program, but we don't have the structs where we could support our invitations to the Spanish government to, for example, to do the same. Okay, so we should really try to work on it in a serious effort from us, from our different networks. Okay, we will have. I want to share with you that we will have this afternoon the General Assembly of the European Cluster Alliance, and I think it will be a very good topic to discuss how to really coordinate our efforts on this point, and how to share this information between our cluster and with our governments and so on. So thank you for the suggestion.
Antonio, I will have to leave because I have something else coming up quickly. I also want to share one information. I don't know. I have the feeling some people send me stuff via the chat directly to me, but my problem is with the device I'm using, I only see the general chat, but not personalized messages. So in case you have sent me personalized messages, don't be upset with me that I don't reply. I just see them coming in, but I cannot read them. I don't know what's happening there. So it's a problem of my iPad, just so that you don't think I ignore them. But then it's better to send an email or contact me differently. But this function, for one reason or another, doesn't work. Okay, with this, I will have to say goodbye for today. And of course, we'll be in very close contact. Thanks a lot for the exchange.
You're very welcome, Ula. So I see that, sorry for the pronunciation, George had some ideas. Would you comment, George? Yes, I can see that you have the sound activated, but we cannot hear you. Sorry. The sound is not good at all. Sorry. I need to put you on silence. So, okay. About letter supports, I don't know if the Commission can make a letter of support for all the clusters, but official communication that could be good. And we need also, we are working on a new declaration from the European Cluster Alliance from our side, okay, that we need to deliver to whoever can hear it, okay, a position paper, and that's important, okay, but we need to look for more possibilities. So we decided past Saturday also to send all the attendants one survey to invite you to fill a survey, an evaluation of our activities. At the end, we have been with you for more than I think now 6 months, and we want to hear your opinion of what we are doing and how would you focus our next activities, our next session. So you will be invited to formally give us ideas, and there are some things that are more or less urgent. This is very urgent. The recovery plans are being defined now, and this is the moment to be there, to join effort, to join information, to be quick in our reactions, and to be very quick in how we contact with excellent proposal our authorities. So you will receive, I hope, the invitation to the survey this week, and please fulfill it with your best proposal and your best ideas. Okay, I hear that now. So this is it. Thank you very much. And tomorrow we will have another session. As you know, it will be about, sorry, because I have a energy
Sorry,
intensive.
Antonio, before you mention that, it's hard for me to bookmark all the links that you share in the chat. Will it be okay to copy paste and send them by email somehow or share them, because they are very interesting?
We can share them in the ECCP webpage.
Perfect. Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're welcome. So tomorrow is about energy intensive industries. On the Wednesday is renewable energy, Thursday health, and Friday textiles. And as we have now the flagships areas, we are going to see about how to link those different ecosystems with those flagships and the recovery plans. Thank you very much. I hope to see you soon. Bye.